And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Tomorrow's flying weather shows areas of IFR, areas of marginal VFR, and areas of VFR here over interior Alaska, North Slope Arctic coast, IFR there. A lot of IFR over the western southwest Bering Sea, and the Aleutians eastward to Atka. Eastern Aleutians, though, VFR, and back to marginal for the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island, and IFR here for the southeast coast, all the way up into the southern Copper River Basin. For the afternoon, conditions improve, becoming VFR, Kodiak Island, right on up the Kenai Peninsula, Cook Inlet into the southern Susitna Valley, and probably the eastern Madanuska Valley as well. A lot of marginal VFR over the interior, IFR pulling back to the Arctic coast, IFR lingering around Yakutat, but mostly marginal VFR now for the southeast coast and the northern Bering Sea. VFR here, St. Lawrence Island to St. Matthew Island, including Nunivak Island. IFR here for the Pribilofs down to Nikolsky, westward to Shimianatu. And then that area of IFR for Saturday morning advances northeastward here up to St. Lawrence Island and into the southwest coast, covering all the Aleutians now and a portion of the Alaska Peninsula. IFR here from the Koyukuk Valley up into the Brooks Range to the Arctic coast, and a lot of marginal VFR over the rest of mainland Alaska. IFR and marginal VFR for the southeast coast. And stays VFR here, Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula, but some marginal VFR sliding into southwestern Kodiak Island. And for Saturday, looks like about from Pasagchak on Kodiak southwestward, marginal VFR. But to the north, good VFR here, Copper River Basin, Madanuska Susitna Valley, Cook Inlet. Some marginal VFR now trying to cross the Alaska Range with IFR getting hung up there on the mountains. A lot of IFR out here over the Bering Sea. And marginal VFR with areas of VFR here for the northern interior and IFR for the eastern Arctic coast. Some improvement here over the Panhandle. Prince of Wales Island, VFR, and then the remainder of the area there, mostly marginal. Passes, Anatuvik and Adigan, both looking pretty IFR-ish tomorrow. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR in the forecast. Rainy, same thing, marginal VFR at times throughout the day, as well as windy. And Isabel, Mintasta, marginal VFR out the north side there. And for Tanita, marginal VFR. Portage, marginal. Chilkoot and White, IFR. Freezing levels here, cooler air aloft coming in about 6,000 feet or 5,000 to 6,000 over the western interior. 8,000 feet now over to about Yakutat, but 14,000 feet there right across the extreme southern southeast coast. And for icing, areas of isolated moderate rime icing across much of southern Alaska here, kind of angling down into the Copper River Basin to the North Gulf Coast. And basically icing free to the north and northeast and out to the west, as well as the Panhandle. Jet stream, strong southwest flow here, up to 140 to 150 knots coming into the Yakutat area. And then around this upper low over the western Brooks Range, we've got 120 knot jet there cutting across Norton Sound. And 9,000 feet, west-northwesterly, 60 knots from St. Lawrence Island, or right across the Yukon Delta here into the valley. And then westerlies, 50 knots, Copper River Basin, and pretty windy conditions up until you get to the Brooks Range and they become light. Southeast coast, west winds, 55 knots. And for 3,000 feet, northwest 40 knots, turn west-southwest 40 knots here down over the northern Kuskokwim Valley. Westerlies, 45 knots for Bristol Bay. Lighter over here to the east and also up to the north. And the Panhandle not looking too shabby, wind-wise here at 3,000 feet. And then stronger winds with the next system coming in out over the western Bering Sea. Turbulence. Look for considerable moderate turbulence here, northern Seward Peninsula. Southwest interior to Kodiak Island into southern Cook Inlet, Kamishak, Kachemak Bays. And areas along the entire Aleutian chain and Alaska Peninsula.